Look at your goofy ass. Look at your goofy ass. What the fuck? Men are not scared to go to singles events. They rather not waste their money going to a singles event when they can use that money for something else, something more productive. Again, enough with the fucking singles events. We are not going to no singles events. Why do you want men to go to a losers convention, a losers event? Losers unite. At singles event, these are the bottom of the barrel women. Can't get nobody in the real world on dating apps. They taking their goofy ass to singles event because this is the last ditch effort to try to get somebody. They want to get wiped up. The clock is ticking. Don't bring your goofy ass to a singles event. You're paying to go to an event for losers. That money you win, because these tickets are what, $45, $50, $60? Go to a bar. Go to a lounge. Try your luck there. Why are you wasting your time going to a singles event? How many videos do we got to do of this shit? They're pissed that men are walking away. More men need to hold the line. Hold the line. If she's not ATB, arch that back. Archie. If she ain't ATB, you don't need her. Got to do all this fucking leg work for a woman with a high body count. Just don't do it. Why? Why are you going to a singles event? Now, we got to go over this video. These women are talking about, well, they did a little news article or some bull, not a news article, but just some story about men are scared to go to men ain't scared. They got better shit to do. You got men who are working from Monday to Friday, over 60 hours a week. They like to rest, unwind on the weekend. They don't feel like doing no leg work, trying to date. That's their business. Men are not scared to go to a singles event. They got better shit to do with their lives. Let's go over this video.
Problem with real-life dating events, men are not showing up. Dating apps are on the decline, but a growing number of Gen Z and millennial singles are turning to and creating in real-life dating events in search of something that apps no longer provide, a meaningful connection. Tickets almost always sell, but there's one key problem. Men are too scared to turn up. This is confusing because
men are not scared. They're not wasting their money going to a dating event. It should be free for men. Y'all need men to go. These women are going to pay because they're desperate. They're trying to rush and try to settle down at the last fucking minute. Men are not going to waste their time going to a damn dating event, singles event. That's where the losers unite. No. Just don't waste your time with this shit. Do not.
Last year, men heavily outweighed women on dating apps at 68%. And Ofcom.
Yep, they outweigh, yeah. There's more men that outweighed women. Yeah, and they got their time wasted. They weren't getting no matches, no likes. Fuck them up mentally. They're not going to go to a dating event. A lot of men spending a lot of money on dating apps. It's a subscription base. Everything's behind a paywall. You got to pay for super likes and shit. So they paid for all these super likes. They didn't get what they wanted. Now you want these men to pay more money to go to a dating event, to meet these women who are not all that, because it's all on TikTok. These women go to dating events. What they say the same thing. And these are not the prettiest women. There wasn't any attractive guys here. It was boring. It's just a waste of my time. I'm trying to date, but just they're not attractive.
On Tinder, men outnumbered women 3-1. So why are organizers handing out free tickets to get men to sign up? Well, I attended a few events to find out why. Some men told me the events can feel forced. Others said it comes down to rejection and ego. Some said vulnerability and confidence. And others spoke about the difficulty in knowing how to show up in modern dating due to the shift in expectations. Men are expected to pursue and approach women, and they're taught to
Men aren't even doing that shit anymore, pursuing, and no.
Be confident and charming and say the right things. But some men now fear coming across as sleazy or creepy. Others expressed how men are taught to not show sensitivity or vulnerability. But events like this mean putting yourself...
Yeah, men can't do that because when men open themselves up to your goofy ass, you judge these men. Have you noticed that when you're a nice guy and you tell a woman straight up, I just want to talk to you, you're the only girl I want to talk to, she starts backing away. And this is a below average woman. You tell her straight up, listen, I kind of like you. I like how this is going. I kind of only want to deal with you. And she's like, no, I'm not looking for anything serious, because her goofy ass thinks she can do better than you. And you opened up. You're very honest and direct. And what happens all the time? When you put all your cards out on the table, women lose interest. Women are attracted to guys who treat them like shit, who are a mystery. It's just how women move. It's the weirdest shit
out there, which in turn can lead to rejection. And women have each other to confide in with things like this. But men, on the other hand, they're taught to just deal with it. So yes, men might not be showing up to singles dating events, but perhaps it's because they don't know how. Too scared to turn up.
Apparently now when it comes to dating, men are doing literally the least in every sense of the term. What a shocker. Brought to you by the gender who convinced you that they were world leaders for forever. They're now too scared to even show up to in-person dating events. Now we're expecting women to carry the bull.
So this is a shaming tactic for men walking away, and I love to see it because men they don't give a shit about this. They don't. Because you guys are acting desperate, not these men. You guys are. You women are acting desperate as fuck because men are not pursuing and courting your goofy ass because you have a high fucking body count. You fucking Chad and Tyrone, Ricky Tan, Bumclop Bubba, and your goofy ass with a high ass body count. You've been having all this sex, like you training for the sex Olympics. You're mad that men see right through you, see you for what you are, and they see that you bring no value to a man's life whatsoever. You expect a man to court your goofy ass when you've been popping that pussy like it's just giving that pussy away like it's just giving out Skittles and shit. You think a man's gonna wife you up? Take your goofy ass seriously. Even when you get a good man, you don't appreciate him. There's a reason men are mentally checked out. They're not dealing with this shit. And you have yourself to blame, not these men.
Of the work in that department as well. Lock in here today, Women's Sphere. I want to talk about this article that was released so bad because we're seeing this echoed across the country, honestly, everywhere. Yes, we all know the dating apps are terrible. They're not working well. So in New York, they decided to make these in-person dating events. But apparently, men are so shy and scared of rejection at literal dating apps for dating and conversation that they're not showing up to the point where women are expected to bring a male friend to get entry. Which is interesting because on dating apps, men still outweigh women 68%. So that doesn't mean that men don't want to date. They literally just don't want to put in the effort and they're that scared of rejection. And of course, the other reason they keep giving is like, well, I don't want to seem creepy or weird. And I want to talk about both of these points. Because if you're a normal person and you approach women in a normal way and hold a normal conversation, that's literally all it takes to not be seen as creepy and weird. Me and all my girlfriends love having conversations with literally anyone when we go out. Just be respectful. It is getting ridiculous to me that men are literally so anxious and afraid of their own emotions and rejection that they can't even show up to a dating event made for that. And honestly, we're all seeing this right now. It's getting out of hand. I have had men schedule dates with me and then freak out beforehand and cancel and then later come back and apologize and try to reschedule. To which, like, no, you had a chance. Their brains are almost like so rotted they forget that women are indeed real people as well. The last man I was dating suppressed his emotions for some reason so hard that it came all out on that 2 a.m. phone call where he demanded right then and there to know if I would marry him and have his kids someday, when we hadn't even had a discussion about what we were and how serious things were. And he literally couldn't even fathom coping with rejection so bad that I asked for more time to just like consider this whole huge thing, and he freaked out and ruined the relationship right then and there. At this point, I feel like it's just 1,000 men versus coping with any amount of anxiety or singular emotion at all. They keep all reportedly complaining that they can't deal with the changing expectations of them in society, and that expectation is literally just like them being normal people and maybe knowing how to communicate.
I watched this article on The Times about how men are not showing up to real life dating events, right? And I'm wondering if we can have a conversation about how dating is hard for everyone without getting really aggy about it. And what I mean by that is coming from a place of trying to understand each.
Yo, my last hookup was with a woman who looked like this. This is a long time ago, but before I was seriously, I'm holding the line. My last hookup looked just like this. I don't know if they're the same race, but, Indian, right? But she was a freak. That was my first one too. Cause, Indian chicks don't really be dealing with niggas like that. So freak. But she was still friends with her ex. That's the thing. So, but again, we're just hooking up. But yeah, gosh, she making me. I'm having flashbacks now because freak.
Other, rather than always jumping to having an argument about it and who has it worse. And the reason obviously for this is because while some people might not want to date again or currently aren't dating, and I've certainly spoken about this, there are people who do want to still date but are finding it really hard to find a way through. I read a lot of the comments on this post that the Times did to try and get an understanding of what men were frustrated about and what they were finding hard about when it comes to dating, right? Because when I post about dating on here, it attracts like the worst element of people who aren't really helpful and they're not really sharing anything that helps me to understand their experience. And what I could understand on the comments were that a lot of men were just quite angry that this article, which was saying that basically, men just don't turn up to these events, was yet another thing to blame men for. Roughly summarize some of the comments, it included, why would I pay to be rejected, right?
Well, I agree, but like you're paying to see women you're not even gonna be attracted to. That's why I think it's a waste of time and money. Like, is it that bad for these women who already got a leg up, who already got the advantage? You can't get nobody on a dating app or just in the real world where you have to go to a dating event to try to meet a future husband? Come on now. I'm telling you, bro, the type of women who go to these things are like loser chicks. I'm telling you, it's a waste of your money. That type of money, like, just no, man, don't do it. And let me know in the comment section, if y'all went to these dating events, what was your experience at these dating events?
Some people said, I don't want to be scammed. So they felt like dating, and dating women in particular, was a scam. Some people were paranoid about their looks. So they said, as someone who is an ugly man, why would I go to an event like that? I wouldn't do particularly
I don't think men said this shit. I don't think so.
well. Others were like, men are expected to audition for women, and this is yet another audition.
Because dating feels like an interview. You just got off, you got a job, you got off of work, bro. You going on a date, and it's not organic, it's not natural. You're on a date with this woman, it feels like a goddamn job interview. It's like, this is why dating is the way that it's trash. You just got off of work, now you got to go to an interview? No.
And one of the most common was that those kind of events and those dates feel very forced. And the general sense that I got was that it was going to be a waste of time. They weren't going to meet anyone anyway, so why bother? And that they really didn't appreciate being kind of blamed for, not wanting to go to these events. And this kind of difference in terms of how we perceive places to go and meet members of the opposite sex was something that I found really interesting because it jogged a memory for me. So I'm 45, right? And when I was in my 20s, and this was a time before dating apps, and me and my girl mates were like looking to meet men.
She ain't unattractive. 45. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. What do y'all rank her for a 45-year-old chick?
We would get like all dressed up and we would go to, cute little cocktail bars and just nice bars, right? In order to try and meet men. And more often than not, we would go to these bars and we would just see a lot of women. We wouldn't see men. And every time we would do that over and over again, right? So we would get dressed up, we would go out, we would go, oh, there's never any men around. And I remember sort of getting towards the end of this in my late 20s thinking, I think that we are going to places that we think other men will be in, but they're not in those places. They're somewhere else, but where the fuck are they? And very often, I think if you wanted to meet someone, you would go to a club. But having met certain people at clubs, I wouldn't say that that was necessarily the best shout either. You were just meeting people. You weren't necessarily meeting your future partner in there. To me, this feels like a repetition. It looks different because we're talking about, an era of apps, but it's actually, I think, a reiteration of a problem that my generation used to face in our 20s about just not knowing where to go to meet people. One of the other things that these men said about these events was they were worried about coming across as a creep and they didn't want to be a creep. I would say if you are questioning whether or not you want to come across as being a creep, that probably means you aren't a creep, but just my opinion. But I would say that with these singles events, like, I don't think that women are going to them thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have the best time, right? And to a certain extent, there are actually like a lot of similarities.
But a lot of these women are going there with a fucked up attitude. How are you going to go to a dating event with a fucked up attitude? You don't feel like going, why go? You're rude to these men, like, have a better outlook on the situation. But again, I don't blame these brothers for not going to these dating events.
And that we are also worried about rejection. I went to, admittedly, a queer single event a couple of weeks ago. And, I was thinking, oh my God, like, what if no one puts my name down, after the event? Or what if I don't end up meeting anyone? Or what if I'm not attracted to anyone while I'm there? Like, I think that we are all having kind of like similar thoughts. But I do think that there is a distinction, which I'm not sure if men are aware of. And that may just come down to not necessarily knowing what the dating experience is like for women, right? And what I would say a fundamental difference is, I do understand that, everyone is afraid of being rejected and being made to feel, not good about themselves, especially within dating, which feels like an inherently vulnerable thing to be doing anyway, right? But I think the reason why women are just quite fed up with things is because when we go into a dating scenario where you are dating a man, and I feel this is important to explain to men how front and center this thought is, right? Even if I am going on a date with someone who I know through a friend of a friend or an app or wherever I've met this person, right? The thing that is front and center for me is whether or not I am going to be safe in this situation. And I'm not talking about emotionally safe at first. I'm talking about physically safe. And I think that as excited as I might be for a date, right? I had to really interrogate myself around this. There is a part of my brain that is thinking, do I need to make sure that I'm checking my drink to make sure it hasn't been spiked? Is there going to be something that I need to pick up on just to make sure that I am physically okay and safe in that dating scenario? And I just think that that is a fundamental part of dating that I think that may be missing from what men understand of what it's like being a woman in terms of dating. Then, of course, you layer on things like the emotional aspect to it, right? Like, regardless of gender, all of us most of us have had experiences which have potentially been quite negative, that makes it harder and harder to open up and to keep open to meeting new people. But I do worry that we are in a time where our perception of what dating is and our worries about being rejected are so high that it's really hard to engage in the first place and to even get people in the room. I think for me, what I feel we maybe need a slight evolution or a change is that, yeah, it's great that people are kind of coming back to real life singles events. But I do think that maybe we just need to change up how they're organized and sort of putting a load of single people in a bar isn't necessarily going to be the thing that works. I think that people somehow wonder that, like, whether, proximity is the issue. And I don't think it's proximity. I think it's just remembering how to talk to each other. And, for men who are worried about how to talk to women, again, I can't speak for every woman, but more often than not, when someone is talking to me, I just want them to talk to me like a normal person, maybe just share like how, a story about yourself. I think the reason why women are so switched on to whether or not someone is a creep is because we've had people try and cross and invade and violate those boundaries time and time again. And this happens a lot on dating apps. So I don't know what the solution is, but I maybe think a good starting place is to just try and figure out why it feels so hard for all of us who are in it. But currently, I'm not really dating at the moment, so maybe I don't feel like I have much skin in the game. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts.
I don't know. It's just they're checked out. They're not dealing with this shit. A lot of guys are happy being single, being by themselves. They're mentally checked out. They're exhausted with dating. They're not dealing with the bullshit no more. And stop these articles, TikTok, you can shame men all you want, but men are going to continue to hold the line and focus on them. They're not going to waste their money, time, and energy on these stupid ass dating events to meet women they wouldn't even talk to in the real world. So good luck with that. You guys are going to continue to lose money. Yeah, charge the women. Yeah, charge them. But men ain't going to this shit. It is what it is. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.